Well, boys, we're back with another video. Today is the 1st of December, and earlier today on the test server, they decided to finally unlock the expansion. And I say that because we've had access to the expansion through the files. They were uploaded on the November 22nd patch, and we'll talk about that patch a little later in this video. We had access because we had access to all of the AAs, and they came through in the form of unknown DB string 29-20. So those of us on test have been working to get our AAs taken care of, but we haven't been able to get into the expansion. Today they decided to unlock it. I think they decided to because they weren't aware that it was blocked for us. They weren't aware that the guild hall teleporter didn't have the item. It cost 500 plat. They weren't aware that the claim items were blocked out. Other than the satchel, all the other ones were blocked out. And somebody put up a few comments on the Discord for test, and shortly after, suddenly it was, oh yeah, it's open now. So I think that 99 variant Sony EQ Daybreak didn't know. I think they thought it went live on the 22nd, but in reality they didn't. Nobody checked because, once again, and I know, and you guys love to tell me, well, you're on test, so you should be used to it, or you're on test, that's why it's part of the way the game is. But once again, a new expansion is released, and it was not beta tested. This is now the third expansion, fourth expansion where this has occurred, and it's fine. I get it. I understand. Maybe I'm naive to thinking, hey, we as in the server, really, both on the forums and on Discord, pitched a fit back for ToL launch because they didn't have spell vendors, they didn't have augs, they didn't have any of the expansion vendors that sell the ore to create the armor. Beta doesn't test the expansion. It tests the raids. That's all it does. And you guys, I can hear arguments, whatever, but they don't. You log in, from what I understand, you copy over, and then you immediately beta buff or something, and you get rank 3. You get raid gear. It's the max high end, and they don't. No one in beta goes, well, hey, what if I played this from day one and I needed to go buy my spells? At least this time they put them on. They made a vendor and had it active. But Fleshroth's Grip of Decay. Level needed. Necro. 255. Huh. Well, that's not great, is it? And maybe we can describe it. Your class can never use this scroll. Okay, awesome. Next one. Oh, 255. This is our progression spell. 255. Boys, they weren't ready. Okay, that's fine. I have tried to explore. Gone through a couple different zones. I wanted to go to Firefall Pass, so I went out to Umbral Plains in ToL and went to what I think is the Clicky. It's a torch laying on the ground in one of the caves, and I'd never seen it before, so I was clicking all around, and I asked General, and they said, oh, it doesn't work. Okay, so again, it's there, but nobody tested it in beta. I managed to gather up a bunch of quests. I've been kind of working on them just to see what it's like. And this is where the meat of this video is going to really start to get into it, is the patch for this expansion is live for test. And boys, enhanced decay. Reduced the percentage damage bonus from 41 seconds worth of increased damage to 38 seconds at max rate. Doesn't sound like it should be a problem. It is one of the biggest nerfs in DPS that we have had in years. And no one's talking about it. There's minimal posting on the test forum. And a gentleman or lady named Sankus knows a tremendous amount about the calculation of our spells. And they have provided a breakdown of the change. And their answer at the end of their calculation is 9.2% decline after NoS upgrades. Okay. I've got the NoS upgrades. I've had them since the 22nd. I have the full focus line maxed out on spells we actually use. I don't have Grasping Darkness, because why? I don't use it. I don't have the Swifts, but the spells that we use, I am max. I have every AA. I'm into the expansion AA, which is not, that's not a brag, it's just I know what it is. And so to farm AAs, I was in Maiden's Eye, Tier 1, ToL, killing the little aliens. And they are very easy kill, and I, prior to the patch, was 400,000 DPS, get my 5 AA, go to the next one, grind it out. Post-patch, 3-2, 3-3, 320, 330,000. That's 20, 15%, 17.5%. That is a 20% decline. And that is with the, now I'm using the Shaman Potions Restless Focus, because it was worse than that prior to it. I don't know how much this helps, but I'm using it. I had about 200 made, and I've already burned through like 10 of them. And I'm going to continue to ask for them. We got hit hard, and I play a couple different other games, but the only on MMO I play is EverQuest. Nerfs, bringing a class or a hero or an item down, always frustrates the users, the players. Because I think Wizards have been asking to be balanced for 5 years now. And Zergs took a hit on their DPS output, according to what I read in the forums, with some recent changes. I know melee classes are lagging behind dot classes. Why isn't 989 pushing up the other classes to balance with what is the current situation? I've never understood knocking classes down unless you somehow think you've balanced the entire expansion around what the lower DPS. And so instead of bringing people up, you bring the Necromancer and the Shaman and the Druid class down to what you've balanced it. It is a significant change. I had to farm the Zlandikar mission in Kov for AAs, and that is one that I have never had a problem with. Once ToL buffed up. You know, I could get almost 2 million DPS. 1.9 was probably my highest. I was usually sitting around 1.7, 1.8. Post 11.22 patch, I'm lucky to get a W sometimes. We got hit with 20%. That, let's say it's 1.7. That means 17. That means 340. 1.7 minus 3.4. That puts me at 1.3 and change. And that's what it parses out. When it's down to the the last few percentage and the big burn's been running, and I look right up here and it says 1.65, and then the next day after the patch it says 1.2. That mission is based on, it's a DPS burn. And I started to have real problems with it because as the mission goes on, you get rats that show up, and they would come and start beating on Jobber. It became a real problem. The poster on the forum, I'm not doubting his calculations, but he comes up with 9, or she comes up with 9%. It's not 9%, it's 20%. It's 20% after the full NoS focus upgrades. It's going to be a very big challenge for all of my fellow necromancers to work with. But having said that, I've been through tier 1 and tier 2 zones in NoS, and I have had no problems with trashmobs. Sometimes I have to maybe throw a GS shield on Jobber just to kind of help Siri out, but it's not a problem. I haven't had any named fights. I had a name that I got to spawn. I was running through Shadowhaven and I saw what looked like a camp where there was 3 trash mobs with the same name and then a single mob next to it that had a unique name, and I just thought, okay, let's sit here and see how does Jobber do on trash mobs, and hoping it was a camp, and sure enough, name spawn. And then I was still clearing out the trash around it, and unfortunately another group moved in, and it turns out to be a buddy of mine on test. Neither one of us knew we were there, and he snagged it. I said, hey man, what the heck? And I didn't get to see the player's name, and then he started OSing as well, and I was like, we went back and forth for a minute, and I know this guy. What am I doing here? This is a friend of mine. And so we both just, hey, what the heck? We're being dumb because it's day 1. There's going to be a million names show up. I just wanted it to see if I could kill a named. He told me after some tells, he was like, hey, it wasn't hard, nothing special. But of course he's got group DPS, so hopefully we will be able to do it. I'm worried with the reduction in our DPS. Are we going to be able to kill these named? I think if it's a straight DPS fight, it'll just be a longer fight, and we have blood magic, so we'll be alright. But if there's any sort of mechanics that go on, if there's any ads or mezzing or fear or anything that will mess with Jobber, yeah, I don't know. So anyway, boys, that's the state right now. I feel like you guys will get a patched version of NoS, and that's great. I'm glad. I just hope we get, I think they call it being trued up to live. I hope we get that on the same day, on the 6th, that you all get it. I have my doubts. Last year it took weeks before we got the corrections to get spells, and it took month plus to get hogs. But regardless, I hope you boys get a good launch day, but just be ready for a real noticeable change in your DPS. That's it, boys. I will have videos out like I do for all expansions with hunters. I'm excited. It's been a while since there's been anything to really do in EverQuest. I finished off a whole bunch of collections. I I try to work on trade skills to try to get the 350 to max my artisan prize. I hate it. I hate doing the recipe. I hate the new version. You know, the 0 to 300 is awesome. I don't know why they changed it. The 301 to 350 sucks. I don't remember if I talked about one other thing that is just awful. And it is these dumb ornamentations for this expansion. I mean, this is absurd. This just looks dumb. And all they did was take the same models from ToL and then they just changed the color palette. I've been extremely frustrated with the shield and one hand graphics for a long time in this game, and you think they just spend a little bit of time, money, and effort to redo some of this stuff. I mean, that's supposed to be a wand. That's a dagger. You know, and the swords and the hammers and everything just looks so ridiculous. I almost wish they would just go back to Rusty Dagger. I do wish I could give Rusty Daggers the job, or that spiral dagger he's using. It's so ridiculous. What is that? Oh, okay, I bet it's a collectible. Yeah. Anyway, boys, that's it. I'll get content out as quickly as I can kill them. Hope you boys have a good launch, and I'll see you all in the next video.